Good morning, friends. It is Sunday and I am going to be in the kitchen for a lot of the day today. Just doing regular cooking, for my family, but also some prep cooking for food for the rest of the week to make life a little bit easier. So I grabbed the camera and I'm going to bring you along on all the different things I'm making today. First up is French toast. I had a failed loaf of egg bread that I showed you in a video recently, and I'm just going to make that into French toast, and that'll be breakfast along with some Sugar House maple sausages. Then I have a rack of spare ribs that are defrosted, ready to be used, and I picked up a new barbecue sauce that's low sugar that I was excited to try. So I'm going to be cooking that up. I also have a big package of bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs. I'm going to break those down. Renee has been loving chicken skins, fried chicken skins, kind of like the carnivore crisp chicken skins, but we've been making them ourselves. So I use the skin for that, and I do that in the air fryer, and then I'm going to take the bones out of the chicken thighs to make them into boneless, skinless chicken thighs, which of course you can use for all kinds of things. I'm going to cook those up somehow. I haven't decided yet, but I'll just be getting the fridge kind of stocked full of ready cooked meats so that my week will be a little bit easier. First thing I'm going to do this morning is make some French toast. I have this bread that I made on video the other day that's super weird and doesn't taste very good plain. I'm going to make it into French toast for breakfast. Since I'm not doing dairy, I'm going to add just coconut milk for some creaminess, and then some cinnamon.
Oh, what kind of made?
Not really measuring. This is the kind of recipe where I just kind of throw it together.
What kind of made?
What did you make?
This.
A car? A Lego car?
What kind of made?
A yellow monster? A Lego monster truck?
No, not on ground.
Oh. Since I'm trying to avoid dairy, I grabbed this butter flavored coconut oil. And it's alright. Of course it doesn't taste as good as real butter, but it's not bad. And it doesn't taste very coconutty, so that's good. I'm just gonna cook my French toast in that. I'm gonna try to let these soak in the egg for just a little bit before I put them in the pan. I think that makes them a little bit better. Make sure the middle doesn't stay dry. So I'm ready to get the ribs in the oven. It was a full spare rib rack, so I trimmed it down to get just the ribs. But I'll still cook this because it'll still be good food. I'm just gonna sprinkle it with some Redmond seasoned salt and just a little bit of Creole seasoning to give it flavor, but not to get it too spicy. And I'm going to cook it at 325. I expect it'll take about 3 hours to get it really, well, this is kind of small, maybe 2.5 hours to get it really fork tender. And towards the end of cook time, I will brush it with some of this barbecue sauce. I saw this yesterday and it looked really good. It has 1 gram of sugar per serving. Mustard barbecue sauce. I'm excited to try it. So just giving it a good sprinkle of seasoned salt. A little bit of Tony Chachere's. Got a good layer on both sides. Yeah, get your hat on. So ribs are in the oven. I actually also have cooked or baked 3 batches of egg bread this morning. So that's done. After that is all cool and I sliced it all, I'm gonna make some more breakfast sandwiches to throw into the freezer. Some in the freezer, some in the fridge. I have a video on that I put out, I think last week, so I will put that up in the cards. But typically if I make about 2 loaves of bread and I make sandwiches out of all of that, it lasts a little bit more than a week for my husband. He grabs them every morning before work. So I have enough bread here to make him a couple loaves worth of sandwiches, and then I will have some bread left for me to eat whenever I need some bread. Now I'm about to get going on this package of chicken thighs. I don't love cooking bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs just as is. For whatever reason, I just don't like them very much. I love boneless, skinless chicken thighs, but of course they're way more expensive than the bone-in, skin-on. And I love making chicken skin crisps in the air fryer. And actually Renee really loves the chicken skin crisps. They are very similar to the carnivore crisp chicken skins. And those are, oh my gosh, so delicious. So what I've been doing is taking the skin off of the thighs, and I will air fry those, and I'll show you how I do that to make the crisps. And then I take the bones out of the chicken thighs. I can save the bones and use them for broth. And then I have a whole pack of boneless, skinless chicken thighs that I can use for like Asian air fryer chicken thighs or anything like that. They're still a little bit frozen, so I'm gonna see how much of the skin I can get off. Skin on chicken thighs is very easy to take off. I typically don't want like the huge chunks of fat on there. This one looks pretty good, but sometimes there's some really big chunks of fat like this, and you can leave them on the chicken, but they don't work as well for the chicken skin, so I typically take them off of the skin. So I'm gonna let these chicken thighs defrost a little bit before I try to take the bones out. That's just gonna be too much trouble. So I'll let those sit and get nice and thawed real quick. But I will go ahead and make the chicken skins. And in my air fryer, I need to do a few batches, probably 3 batches, because you have to lay them out really flat in here. And I found with these, the trick is to cook them at a little bit lower of a temperature for longer, instead of like putting it on 400 like typical air fryers default to. I turn the temperature down to 325 and cook for about 15 minutes. And of course you have to check them, and you can, you know, add more time if they're not quite all the way crispy. So they're gonna shrink up. And you want to check them like after a couple minutes of cooking to make sure they haven't like folded over on themselves or something, because you want them to stay as flat as possible. They're going to curl up a little bit, but just want to try to keep them flat if you can. I'm sorry if chicken skin grosses some of you guys out. I know that that's the case, but it is so delicious. Once it's all nice and crispy, I dare anyone to try it and not think it's good. My favorite seasoning is the Redmond organic seasoned salt. Super good. The only thing I would warn you about is that since they do shrink up a lot, make sure you're not just coating it with seasoning, because it'll just be too much. I just sprinkle mine really lightly. I don't like things too salty. I'm not a huge saltaholic, and so I am especially careful to not over season. I have done that before and it's just too much. So just a little light sprinkle is plenty. All right, into the air fryer these go. 15 minutes, 325. So you see how much these shrink up. People kind of think that chicken skin is super fatty, which of course it is when it's raw, but if you cook it till it's crispy, kind of sticking around, got it. But if you cook it till it's crispy, a ton of the fat cooks out. So it's really, a lot that's left is just protein, you know, collagen. It's actually really good for you. Not for you, Izzy. I know they look good. You would chow down on these, I know. I put the breakfast sandwiches together, and I have one bag here in the freezer, and I put one bag here in the fridge, and those will last hopefully at least a week, maybe a little bit longer than a week. Renee, can you come in here? I have something for you to try.
Okay.
Look what I made for you!
Thank you so much.
I knew you were excited about that. All right, you gotta do it on the video and do a taste test, okay?
Okay. Really good. I love
Hey,
them.
Izzy wants to do taste test. They're so good. So Renee, how many thumbs up do you give it?
Probably 12.
12 thumbs up. You wanna try one?
Yeah.
All right, you have to do it on the video.
Dang it.
All right, Autumn's gonna try some.
It stabbed my cheek.
Because they're so crispy.
I know. It's really good.
I know, isn't it?
Of course it is. It's chicken skin.
So good. With Redmond, real salt, seasoned salt. Give that to Izzy. See if she'll shake.
Did you?
There she goes. Good girl, Izzy. All right, give it to her. Give it to her quick. She needs to know that the treat is for obeying.
Yeah.
Good girl, Izzy.
You did it. Sometimes when I have done to shake, she thinks that the food is in my hand.
I know, isn't she funny?
But
How many thumbs up?
like, oh, it's not there. She do it shake.
2 thumbs up.
All that I can give.
Renee gave 12. So,
Well, she has more. She has a lot of thumbs.
yeah. These chicken thighs aren't defrosting as fast as I'd like, but I have enough here to get started. So in order to get the bone out, you turn it over to the bottom where the bone is more visible. And then I grab the end where you can kind of see the bone a little bit more. And you have to have a pair of kitchen shears for this. Otherwise, with a knife, it doesn't work very well. But I just clip as close to the bone as possible all the way up. And then I just grab the bone and cut as close to the bone again to get the bone out. This is the kind of thing where you just kind of have to jump in and do it a few times to get the hang of it. And then you kind of figure out the system. There's a really big piece of like gristle or tendon here that I don't really enjoy. So I try to cut that out with the bone. Just kind of hold the bone and then the chicken thigh falls out. So I can see this end of the bone more, and I'm just gonna clip. I kind of just clip on both sides of the bone. Try to just expose it as much as possible. And then grab the bone and clip it out. I've tried doing this with a knife and it's nearly impossible. Probably unless you have a super sharp knife, but kitchen shears are really the way to go. There's that one. So there are all of my boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I'm gonna get these marinating real quick. I'm gonna do a real simple Asian style marinade. Little bit of coconut aminos. These of course have sugar in them, so I don't do a ton, but actually the little bit of sugar that they do have helps them caramelize in the air fryer. And it's really, really nice. So I like doing a little bit of coconut aminos. Doing a little bit of red boat fish sauce. I'm gonna do a squirt of the spicy kimchi sriracha that I like. You could probably use any sriracha though. Some ground ginger. And some of the onion salt from Trader Joe's. Plenty of that. Just gonna give these a quick stir and let them sit, not too long, maybe like 20 minutes, and then I will air fry them. I am gonna go ahead and use the bones here for a small batch of chicken broth. I'm just gonna keep it really simple with the bones, some salt, a lot of salt, some black pepper, and I think I'm just gonna leave it at that, and then I'll just be using it in recipes throughout the week, and I'll be adding, you know, spices and different things to the recipes, so don't have to get super fancy with the broth. That's gonna make like 4 or 5 cups of broth, I think, which will be enough for the week. Pressure cook, high, and see if I go backwards. Oh, it takes me to 8 hours. That's too much. So I have to just go the long way around here. There we go. The ribs have been going for a couple hours and I think they're getting pretty tender, so I'm gonna go ahead and paint them with the sauce and let them cook a little bit longer. Oh, that looks so good. These are gonna be delicious. I think I'm gonna just throw them back into the oven with the sauce for maybe 30 more minutes. All right, back into the oven they go. I'm gonna get the first batch of these thrown into the air fryer. Still dirty from when I cooked the chicken skins, which is actually great because it greased the bottom for me. Don't have to worry about them sticking too much. For cook time, I usually do 400 degrees for 12 minutes. And I've gone back and forth about flipping halfway through. I think I'm gonna try just not flipping them halfway through this time and see how it goes. Nice and crispy. I think I have 2 more batches to do here. And I think those ribs are done, so I'm gonna pull those out here in a second. Can I squeeze them all into one more batch? I think I probably could. Just barely all fit. These ribs look super good. I'm just gonna let them cool a little bit before I cut them up. For the chicken thighs, to store them, I just like to slice them up. Of course, I wait until after they're cooled off a little bit. Slice them up and store them that way. That just makes it easy to grab out a handful if I need something. We're doing our homeschool co-op day tomorrow, so I'm planning on just taking a container with some chicken in there. Be so easy just to snack on whenever I, have a moment to do so. Little teeny tiny ribs. Izzy, you have already been fed, my dear. These are so tiny, they're almost like baby back ribs. They look really tasty. I'm gonna try one because I want to try that sauce. Of course, at this point you could add extra sauce to make it a really saucy rib, but that adds extra carbs, just to keep that in mind. It's good. It's really tangy because it's like the mustard vinegary sauce, but it's got a tiny hint of sweetness. That's really good. I like it. And I like it with the combination of the Redmond seasoned salt and the Tony Chachere's seasoning. Definitely a winning combination. Chicken is all done. Ribs are cut up and ready to throw in the fridge. Most of the French toast got eaten this morning, but there's a little bit left for an easy breakfast or two. And then I have the chicken that's all ready to go, the ribs that are all ready to go, some egg white bread made and ready to be used for whatever, and then also some breakfast sandwiches, some in the freezer, some in the fridge. The last thing that is still cooking is the broth. I'll show you a picture of that at the end when it's done, but it's still got like an hour or so to go. But I feel like I accomplished a lot today. I feel ready for the upcoming week. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I will just see you in another video.